And to discuss the significance of this achievement for the rest of the world, we are now joined by actress Florence Masebe, who joins us in studio. Also have a couple of accolades under her belt. Good evening and welcome to The Full View.
Hello, thank you for having me.
What does this moment mean? First of all, let's start with film and then I'll move over to language. What does this moment mean for film just in general, where a film that does not come from America wins this specific award?
I think it's a turning point to tell Hollywood that Hollywood or film in the world is not about American stories, it's about everybody's story. It's a true moment for globalization and for inclusivity and for saying everybody matters, whether they come from America or not. It's a big deal for the filmmakers of the world to show up as they are, as themselves, and make a huge impact and end up taking over.
Yeah, and then as Best Picture in a foreign language, that must be significant as well.
Of course. Look, the foreign language category is an important one. But when a foreign language film then gets every other accolade, when it gets Best Director, Best Picture, Best International, it's saying that the way filmmakers of the world are making films does not have to conform. They can arrive as themselves and be great in their own languages, which is a lesson for African filmmakers as well, I think, and for the rest of the developing world. Yeah,
and if you look at it, 90 years of the Academy Awards, 11 nominations for Best Picture, for foreign language films, that is. But only now in 2020 do we get our first ever foreign language film winning Best Picture.
I don't think we're shocked. Not so long ago, we had a hashtag Oscars So White. Somebody yesterday was making a joke that said, the Oscars are so white, even the rappers are white people. Okay? And they were not even talking about Eminem. But so we're not shocked. But the fact that a piece like Parasite comes through and does what it did, that's a huge moment. That's a moment for us as the rest of the world to look and say, why have we been trying to make films according to what we think other people expect all this time? Why can't we just make our films?
And what about the hegemony of the English language itself when it comes to whether it is screenplay, when it comes to theater as well, and the dominance that the English language have in the space of arts, performing arts especially?
I don't think the English language is dominant in the space of arts. You know, I've seen French films being in the French language. I've seen films in West Africa, beautiful films being in the French language. I've seen Spanish films. I've seen Portuguese. I've seen Russian films. I've seen Chinese and Korean and Japanese films being in the languages of those filmmakers. I think it's us down south that think we need to be accepted by being good English speakers, that we want to turn everything around and we lose and dilute the story along the way, because you are never going to get Bayede right in Zulu, in English. You've got to say it in isiZulu and leave it there.
Yeah, but if like the comment that I just made earlier, 90 years of the Academy Awards, only 11 nods, 11 nods for a foreign film for Best Picture, that must then tell you that foreign language films are not being rated that highly compared to English-based films.
Well, let's start here. It's not our world.
Yeah.
The Oscars are not really for us. And we shouldn't be trying so hard to make films for the Oscars. We should be making films for ourselves that are so good that the Oscars can't ignore them. We're not going to get it right for as long as we're trying to make them according to an Oscar script. We must make films that have an African DNA, films that have a Southern African DNA, films that say, I should watch it and go Botswana, I should watch it and say Lesotho, I should watch it and say South Africa, Swaziland, I should say Kenya, I should say Nigeria. Let's put our own DNA in all the films we make, in the stories we tell. We shouldn't try to be Hollywood. We're not Hollywood, we're Africa.
But at the end of the day, you're in a business and you want to sell something, and the standards that Hollywood has set is that it must be in English for it to do well.
But it must be for the audience that's going to spend the money. Hollywood is not spending money on our films. So if my film must be loved in Africa, can I please tell my film's for African?
Yeah. And what about the producers themselves and script writers themselves, who sometimes it would seem though they're edging ever so closely to, is this too much of an indigenous language that I'm using in this drama series or in this film?
Isn't that just sad though, Altron? No African should ever feel that there's something as too much of an indigenous anything in making an art piece about themselves. You want to make a Basotho film, make a Basotho film. You want to make a Chivenda film, make a Chivenda film. Subtitles exist for a reason.
Yes.
Put subtitles there, but when a story is good, a story is good. There was a few years ago, I can't remember the title, a silent movie won Best Picture at the Oscars.
Yeah.
If that could happen, language isn't really that big a deal. Make a good piece. And the rest of the judges will see it. Make a good piece and the audiences will receive it.
Yeah.
Why must we worry so much about speaking other people's languages in telling our own stories when we could tell the stories in our own languages, in our own voices, from our perspective, and then the people will see our beauty, whoever they are, wherever they come from.
Was that your experience as well when shooting Elilwani?
Well, look, I was told by somebody that Ererwani, the first installment, we're doing the second one soon, that the first installment didn't do so well because of language, that we should have tried to have more English in the film.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it.
What does this then mean for the second installment?
For the second installment, this means I have even more reason to say I'm doing this film in Chivenda and nothing else. It's about us. So I'm going to show up as a filmmaker who is telling a Bavenda story.
Yeah.
And it will be done in Chivenda. And if I wake up tomorrow making a film in Queen Mujaji, it will be in Kilobedu and nothing else. If I'm making a film in Khasikukune, I will use Sepedi as spoken in Khasikukune. We need to stop apologizing for being ourselves. And when we show up confidently like that, the world sees, the world takes, and it notes our excellence.
Florence Masebe, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to that movie, by the way.
No, you won't.
I don't know if I should ask you for a deadline. Where can we expect that?
Oh, please don't do that.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, but we look forward to the film. All the best.